Hey guys, it's Vanessa from Unmasked. I wanted to do a video for the 3-month mark of Suzanne Morphew's disappearance. Of course, Suzanne is the 49-year-old mother of two who went missing on Sunday, May 10th, which was also Mother's Day. Actually, I should change that because we did learn some new information this weekend and we got a better, more narrowed down timeline. So it's actually more likely that she went missing on Saturday evening, May 9th, but regardless, it's the 3-month anniversary from when she was reported missing and the searches began. So Suzanne disappeared from Maysville, Colorado, which is about 2 hours and 45 minutes southwest of Denver. And I was thinking about this last night, that it's unbelievable that this is the fourth huge case that we've had out of this state, and it's such a beautiful and peaceful place to live. But I swear, by the cases we've had out of here, we had, of course, Watts, that just happened a few miles from me. We had Kelsey Barrett, and then, of course, Gannon Stauch, and now Suzanne Morphew. So it's just hard to believe because, like I said, it's a beautiful place to live. So before I start, I want to give a shout out to Chris and Mike at Profiling Evil, who had a great show about Suzanne's disappearance on their channel on Saturday night, and I will link it in the description. They have quickly become one of my, I would say, top 3 favorite YouTube channels, and I feel like that's saying a lot since I've been a true crime junkie for I don't even know if I want to say, 25 years. I was a weird kid. And they are 2 retired investigators with very impressive resumes. I basically binge watched all of their videos this weekend while I was doing other things. And it's just, I find it a fascinating channel. I think they're going to be huge. So if you haven't, go check them out. They had some new information directly from Suzanne's family. And as we know, that's a huge deal in this case because we have not had any new information in a while. This case has been locked down, which is really good from the case standpoint. It's just frustrating to online true crime junkies. They touched on a lot of things that we've talked about and had in my other Suzanne videos that I will link below, along with some new pieces to the puzzle. So after watching that show on Saturday, I basically just doubled down on what I've thought for the past 3 months. So first, I'm going to touch on the new information that was introduced in their show from Suzanne's family, and then also add to it a bit. There was a little bit of brand new information tonight from Lauren Scharf, and I will have that at the end. And of course, first, I just want to say, everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. The first interesting point I wanted to bring up that we found out Saturday was that regarding the timeline. So we found out that Suzanne was texting back and forth with a good friend of hers. Her friend's son is getting married, and they were texting back and forth about his wedding. And then the friend says that the text abruptly stopped. So immediately what popped into my brain is right now I'm finishing a video for the 4-year anniversary of 30-year-old Karina Vetrano, who, it's a horrible case out of Howard Beach in Queens, New York. And in her case, she was also texting a friend, a good friend, and the text abruptly stopped. And in her case, it was because she was ambushed. So that immediately stuck out to me. There's a lot of information that you can get, or a lot of conclusions you can come to just from that one piece of the puzzle. So no one heard from her after that texting conversation on May 9th. Her own daughters didn't hear back from her on Mother's Day. I'm a mother of 2, and if I could not be with my kids on Mother's Day, there's absolutely no way in the world I would not communicate with them. So right there, knowing that her daughters were texting her the next morning and not getting a response, we know that something already happened to her because there's no way she wouldn't respond. So much like the bike, it seems to me like it's another deflection of, nope, look at the 10th, when really we should be looking at the 9th. So anytime there's a big case that I really want to dig into, which is what I love doing, and I want to get majorly into sleuthing on, I have a rule of 3. And of course, I am not ex-law enforcement. That's one of the reasons that I find the Profiling Evil channel so fascinating, is to get an insight into their minds and their experience. My background is psychology and a long history of insurance investigations. And some of the investigative principles still apply, it's just in a different area. And I will say it did teach me a lot about digging up information and being able to tell when people were lying. So the three things that I always look at are what people do say, what they don't say, which is sometimes more valuable than what they do, and if actions line up with words. And this goes for, especially for law enforcement, but also for anyone surrounding the victim, like friends or family, and also any potential persons of interest. So if you take those three things and apply them here, there are so many red flags in this case. So anytime someone vanishes, there's only a handful of things that could have possibly or likely happened to them. So if you use these three things, you can kind of go through those scenarios one by one and tick them off or take a closer look. During one of the first press conferences, someone mentioned suicide to the sheriff and he dismissed that, seemingly ruling that out. So then we go to the second scenario. Immediately after Suzanne disappeared, Barry seemed to be pushing the mountain lion possibility. He mentions it to Tyson Draper as a possibility in his video. I will link that video if you haven't happened to see it in the description, because I believe he re-released it about a day ago, taking the music out and transcribing it. And of course, in the day or so after Suzanne disappeared, there was an email sent out to their church that also mentioned a mountain lion and even talked about how one had been seen in the area recently. So my issues of this, of course, would be, one, why would you bring this up in the first place? It didn't seem like there was anything to indicate that there had been any kind of attack like this. And also, if you really had absolutely no idea of what happened to your wife, why are you trying to push this particular narrative? Just a day or two later, on May 13th, the sheriff came out and said publicly that he did not think that there was a high chance that there was an animal attack. After the sheriff said that, the reward was up to $200K, and then a few days later, Barry came out and released the public video that many people had issues with. So looking at the stranger abduction scenario, is it possible that Suzanne was taken by a stranger? Yes, of course. I do see some big red flags with the stranger abduction scenario, though. If you take the three things that I look at, if you look at what they say, they haven't ruled it out publicly. If you look at what they don't say, that tells you a lot. If law enforcement believed that there was some predator snatching women in this small mountain town, I can pretty much guarantee they would warn the public. I've said this before, but in the Jessica Ridgway case that happened in our community in 2012, the chief of police came out and held a press conference telling everyone in our community that there was a predator and to be vigilant. They ruled out Jessica's family with polygraphs right away, and they believed it was a stranger abduction. Law enforcement has not warned the public in this case, and to me, that's very telling. And speaking of polygraphs, that brings me to one of the other huge revelations, I thought, that came out on Saturday's show. So of course, this is coming from Suzanne's family and not law enforcement, but I don't see any reason to not believe them. Suzanne's family told Profiling Evil that Barry had declined 2 polygraphs and the voice stress analysis test. So in Barry's very short, pre-recorded public statement that he released, he stated that he was willing to do anything to get Suzanne back. So my first question, of course, would be, why would he not agree to the polygraph to clear himself so that investigators can check that box and focus their time and efforts elsewhere? So basically, to sum it up, we know that the last time Suzanne was heard from was Saturday night, according to the family, when she was texting with a friend and it was abruptly cut off. Barry states that he saw her at 5 a.m. the next day when he left for Denver and that she was sleeping. There's no way to really corroborate that, though. There don't seem to be any eyewitness accounts that saw her on her bike Sunday that we've heard of, nor does it seem that she was caught on any cameras. According to the family, Barry was the one who told the neighbor to check and see if her bike was there. We have also heard from multiple sources online since the beginning that the Morphews cameras were not working in the days leading up to her disappearance. The FBI came in almost right away. They've now searched the Morphews' home at least twice and have seized Barry's vehicle and his phone. Then, of course, you have investigators spending days digging up and sifting through Barry's job site. That, of course, leads us to one of the more interesting pieces, in my opinion, that's come out at all, which is the elderly woman next door to the job site. She reported that she heard the machines going that weekend. She didn't know if it was Friday or Saturday, but she knew it was Mother's Day weekend, coming on at 11:30 p.m., which is obviously very strange, and estimated that they went on for about 30 minutes. She is hard of hearing, and it was stated that it would have been very loud to wake her up in the first place. She said that it only stopped when she got up, turned on all the lights, and opened the door. The next day, she allegedly walked over and asked the workers why the equipment was on so late, and they didn't seem to know anything about it. Then allegedly she was told that the keys are kept in a hidden spot overnight, which would indicate that only people connected to the job site would know where to access those. I mean, I guess it's possible that someone else would be able to find them and access them, but what would the motivation be of someone to look for the keys, find them, and take a piece of equipment for a little joyride for 30 minutes around a job site on a Friday or a Saturday night? It doesn't make any sense. So if you put all of that together with the new information that Suzanne's family provided to Profiling Evil this weekend, it's just extremely troubling. Tonight, Suzanne's friends and family, along with many others, lit candles in Suzanne's honor to mark the 3-month anniversary of her disappearance. Reporter Lauren Scharf spoke to Suzanne's family today. One of those family members wanted to remain anonymous but had a few very interesting things to say. They told Lauren that Suzanne's family is worried that Barry is tampering with the investigation. They also told Lauren that the data that's been collected from Barry's truck does not match up with what he's told investigators. The sheriff's office would not comment on these statements from the family. Lauren's article also stated that investigators were passing out flyers today asking the public for any tips. It also goes on to talk about how the FBI has flown to Indiana to question Suzanne and Barry's friends and family. So even more troubling information coming tonight from Suzanne's family. So all we can do at this point until we get any new information is just to continue to hope, pray, send positive vibes to Suzanne's friends and family, and hope that we get some kind of answers soon. Please share this video and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll be notified of my upcoming videos on this case and many others.